Welcome, folks, to the Athletics Postseason Live Show. Happy that we can be here again, talking about the championship series and previewing the World Series. I know if you've watched us in the past few weeks, you probably know a little bit about what we've got going. But I'm the host, Alec Lewis, cover the Royals at the Athletic. Have Royal shortstop Nicky Lopez with us back again, and then the Athletics baseball analytics savant. Sarris here with us. So, guys, thanks for hopping on. We'll jump right into it, I think. I guess first, Nicky, how surprised or unsurprised were you to see the Astros and the Braves win these championship series?
So I think that when it initially started, I think I said that I had the Astros, the winner of the Astros White Sox. So I'm not very surprised about that. I'm super excited about the Braves team. I really like that the Braves are in there, pulling off the upset, if you want to say, against the Dodgers, which was great to see, great for baseball. But I'm excited to see what they can do. Obviously, the Astros are playing extremely well, clutch hitting, and the thing that is that they've been there. They've been to this point, which. That's why it's kind of exciting to see what the Braves are going to do, because they haven't been there, but they've been very, very close. And I think I said it earlier last week. It's been exciting to see them rally after they lost Acuna, arguably their best player. So it's going to be very interesting series. I can't wait to watch.
This is obviously very broad, but what was most interesting to you from these two series? What stood out most in terms of what you were watching?
You're always trying to maybe learn from it, be like, well, what are people going to do differently next year? What strategy worked? Like what's going on? Like what's different this postseason than the past postseasons? And to me, it does kind of seem like some of the stuff that we've been doing a little bit, the chickens came home to roost. Like we've been using the starting pitchers in their throw days. We've been throwing guys on short rest. We've been, really taxing relievers, asking relievers to go 2 innings. We've been basically really taxing pitching staffs in the postseason. I think we've been relying on this idea that their adrenaline would give them the extra velocity. They'd be able to battle through. The rest days would give them the rest and all that stuff. But, I see in that Dodgers series, basically this stuff coming back to hurt them. Yeah. You just saw Scherzer. I've never heard Scherzer say, I have a dead arm. I've never heard Scherzer say, I can't start today. He broke his nose and then started the same day, to see Scherzer, that was a real eye-opening thing to me. And Urias, I thought, was also not as sharp as usual after they used him in short. Buehler, first time he's pitched on short rest in his career, both times this postseason, both times wasn't that great. And he just threw 200 innings for the first time in his career, coming off a short season. I think that some of this was the players were tired, really, really tired, and the Dodgers got really pushed by the Giants to a long series. The Braves, I think, one of the biggest benefits they got was finishing off the Brewers series more quickly.
Yeah. No, we'll start we'll break down the AL a little bit, and then we'll shift back to the Dodgers and talk a little bit more about that pitching. But obviously, the Astros won in 6 games. They trailed the Red Sox early in the series and bounced back. And I think part of the reason they were able to do that is obviously their young pitching. Luis Garcia, Framber Valdez. Nicky, I think you faced at least one of those guys, probably both. Obviously, Luis Garcia has the rock-a-baby type wind-up. Framber Valdez, just kind of a bulldog. I wonder what comes to mind in thinking about facing those two guys, because I know you have.
Alec, I don't know if you remember, but my first home run of the year was off Garcia, so I kind of have to. But no, they're two young studs. Valdez's sinker is not very fun as a lefty, left on left, very, very tough matchup. And then, Luis Garcia has that very unorthodox rock the baby, slow windup that can, if you don't stick on him and if you don't focus, it can kind of lull you to sleep. And they have 3+ pitches, and they go right at you. And like said, though, Astros and Braves, they seemed like they had the pitching and that to sustain it. They didn't bring their starting pitchers back out to throw bullpen days, and I think maybe that's one of the reasons why they're moving on, is because they have the pitching, they have the starters that are going deep in it. The Braves obviously have Morton and Anderson, and it's been fun to watch. But yeah, that's one of the things when I see Valdez, it's just and Garcia. Those are some two studs that are anchoring that pitching staff.
When you face somebody like that, it's funny because you got guys like Stroman, and I think of Cueto as like the godfather of like changing looks, right? Doing like the hesitation. Maybe you've seen Nestor Cortez. I don't know, like these guys that'll like do anything. Garcia's not like that. Right? It's the same each time. It's just weird looking.
It's just you don't really see it often. You usually see like the traditional going through the wind up.
Right.
You never really see just something that long, that elaborate, rocking the baby, coming over top, throwing. But that's his routine, and I touched on it a while back. Is routines are huge in baseball, and to have a routine like that, it's kind of interesting, but it's working for him.
But as a hitter, do you get used to it on the order of like 2 or 3 pitches, or 2 or 3 at bats, or 2 or 3 times you faced him? Like how long does it take? Because it's not quite like, oh, you don't know what he's throwing at you. It's like, okay,
right.
Like it's timing, right? So you're like, okay, all right. It takes like a little bit longer, but yeah, I got it.
Absolutely.
When you feel like you kind of see it, is that like in the same game you've ever first saw him, or did it take like 2 or 3 games to be like, okay, now I think I got it?
So one of the things is that when you see something like that, like a windup that is not very ordinary, you kind of have to look at the iPad. You kind of have to look at the computer and kind of time it up while you're in the locker room, while you're in the the cages and
on deck circle too.
Yeah, hopefully it correlates when you get to the batter's box, and that's one of the things that I feel like helped is that early timing, kind of early adjusting to it. And then once you get in the box, you kind of have to hope that what you did off the field in preparing for the game hopefully it correlates. And that, like you said, though, he doesn't really change his his movements at all. It's the same thing every single time. It seems to work.
Well, I think it'll be crazy if he does start to add like the Cueto stuff. Then you'll be like, oh, God.
He's still young too, so I'm sure as time goes on,
right? That's like things that people learn. He'll do like the quick salsa.
Oh, that's awesome. Nicky, I should have highlighted the home run. That's my bad. In conjunction with some of these young guys, I can't help not think about Brent Strom, their longtime pitching coach who's been doing it forever. I don't know, how valuable do you think it is for them and these young starters to have a guy like that, for them to go to and to analyze adjustments between starts like they did with Garcia?
He's a legend, dude. He is a legend. I mean, like the average tenure, like the average length of a hitting coach right now, like the hitting coaches that are out there, is 1.5 years. Like, because hitting is changing, the data is changing, the tech is changing, and teams are like, oh, we didn't hit this year, fire the hitting coach. So, that sort of energy is happening on the pitching side too. I mean, if you think about it, all this technology that the pitchers are used to now is like 5 years old, So, there's a lot of movement within pitching. Everybody wants a new pitching coach every year. And Stromey, like, he just keeps learning it, and you could easily just be like, no, I know everything there is to know about pitching. I've been doing this for like 30 years. No, he's like always like, what's that? What can I learn from that? What do you have to tell me? How can I make my pitchers better? And so I think there's nothing you can say almost better than like, look at what they did as an organization and what he's done for them. When you're talking about 3 guys that signed out of the Dominican Republic at like 20, 21 years old, that's ancient, according to scouts, when you're talking about Dominican, and took these guys and shaped them. Luis Garcia coming up, his best pitch was a changeup, right? They worked in the minor leagues on a slider. Guess what Stromey says? What about a cutter? bam, now you got 4 or 5 pitches. You know what I mean? Like with Fromber, it's a totally different thing because Fromber is kind of a 2-pitch guy. But I think with Strome, they've really figured out how to make the most out of those 2 pitches, how to vary the looks, vary the shape a little bit, how to really command both sides of the zone so you can't really sit in one place. So each of these guys is pretty different if you think about it. Urquidy's still remained a change-up first guy, you know, but they've made the breakers a little better over time. And I would say that like each of them is pretty different, but he's really helped them be the best they can be. So, I mean, I love coaches, and Strome is one of the best in the business.
That's awesome. Well, we'll transition a little bit actually to the National League Championship Series. Obviously, you touch on the pitching, you know, and it obviously became a theme with Max Scherzer, with Julio Urias. Do you think the way it played out with the Dodgers might, I guess, inhibit teams from doing that in the future? I just wonder what you think the lasting impact of what happened to the Dodgers with their approach might be.
You know, I think some of these things like the opener, bullpen games, a lot of them were done. The first time they were done was like, crap, we got nothing else going on, you know, like we got to do this. And then I think some other teams were like, oh, it works so well for the Rays. Now we got to do it. And now I think teams are like, well, you know, if I have a 4th starter, maybe that's better than using my first starter again and having him at like 80%, you know? So I think that like, you know, there's got to have been, you know, like Jansen could have gone 2. Jansen going 2 and you having Scherzer for game 6 is better than you using Scherzer to save that game and not, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's got to be a mindset change too, starting all the time and then having to come out of the bullpen. You kind of have your routines when you're starting a game, and then, hey, you're going to go pitch the 7th, you're going to go pitch the 8th. And it's like, you're not used to that. And your arm's not used to that. You go through your pregame routine of throwing long toss. You go through your pregame routine of doing all that stuff. And then you're like, hey, you're going to go into the bullpen. It's kind of asking a lot, I feel like.
You saw, I think one of the iconic moments for me is Odorizzi warming up. You remember that?
Yeah.
It's so weird because that's what it's like to warm up these days. He has the Moto sleeve on. Mm-hmm. He's doing long toss. He's like, he said that his routine is like 35 minutes long and he did 15 minutes of it. That 15 minutes, man, as a fan, we were just like, wow, what is going on here? And he said he felt like naked and like, you know, it's like very strange to do that in front of everybody. Yeah, that's the difference between starting and leaving. It's like watching Jake Odorizzi try to ramp it up and try to do 35 minutes and 10 minutes. Yeah, that was bizarre. And I think I don't know if it'll go backwards or what'll happen. One idea I had was that if you are like headed towards the postseason, then you treat September a little bit like a baby October, and you start maybe piggybacking guys. So you have like maybe 6 or 7 starters that can go 80 because nobody's going more than 80.
Right.
80 is the new 100 in this postseason. I think there's been one pitcher who's gone past 80 pitches in this postseason.
Yeah.
So if you don't need more than 80, then make sure you have, you know, an extra guy or 2 that can go 80.
Yeah. I guess I like how once it reaches postseason time, I mean, during the season, it's all about, you know, the home runs and all that. But once it comes postseason time, it's back to the small ball. It's back to how can we win games, defense, pitching. And I mean, I'm a huge advocate on that, obviously, because I'm not leaving the yard every time I go up to bat. But it makes it super exciting, and that's why everyone loves postseason baseball, I feel like.
No, you know, there's a really funny sort of a math thing here. Contact, like a strikeout rate, is more important in the postseason. Yeah. Like if you're talking about like predicting wins, like you're 100% right. It is a little bit more about small ball. It's like strikeout rate is more predictive in the postseason than it is in the regular season. Part of it is that like good contact guys play better against higher velo, I think. And there's more higher velo in the postseason. I don't know. Like, I don't know if like you have any idea why? Like, why would you retain more of your ability to make contact? Like, you're a good contact guy.
Correct.
Like, when velo, like, does velo not matter as much to you, or like,
well, I think it's more about the fact that velo, when they're throwing hard and the ball's straight, you do definitely have more of an opportunity to put the ball in play. It's those guys that change speeds. So those guys that have a nasty changeup, slider, curveball that's falling off the table.
Right.
If you get started early, just meet bat to ball with a fastball, you can put it in play with whatever velo it may be. But it's those change of speeds. It's those that kind of stuff. So
I could see like maybe if a guy if a guy has high velo, maybe he depends on it too much. Like I was thinking like Eovaldi early in his career, he kept throwing that high velo kind of straight fastball, and he kept getting hit more than people thought he would.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gotten a lot better since he's added the other pitches, right?
Right. And you saw it with Gratterall. He's the past 2 times that he was going out there, he was throwing a slider more because people were kind of getting on that fastball.
Yeah,
I wonder how much too. I mean, it works in tandem. You talk about pitchers not going long. It feels like the innings are just so much more high stress because of the contact ability of the hitters. I think it's got to probably matter. Then
you put pressure on the defense too. I mean, like if there's more teams that were trying to like, oh, we'll just put this guy in center and we'll just put this guy here, and with the shift we can figure it out. But in the postseason, if you have some guys who can put the ball into play, and they'll find all those guys where you're like, oh, we'll just figure it out. Like, dang, now the inning's longer,
Right.
Yeah. No, that's well said. Well, cool. I think we're going to take a 1-minute break. This has been awesome. Then we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more, get more in the weeds, but we'll talk a little bit about this World Series, get predictions from both these guys. So stay right with us. 1-minute break. We'll be right back.
I'm Dan Santermita, sports betting editor here at The Athletic, with some betting notes as we enter the Fall Classic. The Dodgers and Giants were the biggest liabilities at BetMGM and many other sportsbooks after winning over 100 games each, and they're both out, which means the books are doing quite well while a lot of bettors took some losses. The Astros were 22-1 before the season, while the Braves were 10-1 before the season, so if you're holding those tickets, you're very excited. The Astros are favored, though, as we enter the Fall Classic. They are -145, while the Braves are +120. Houston is also favored at -130 in Game 1. A longer series is expected, though, with 2-1 odds if the series ends in 6 games and matching 2-1 odds if it goes the distance. The World Series MVP favorites right now, they're all Astros. Jose Altuve comes in and starts as his favorite at 9-1. His teammates Michael Brantley and Yordan Alvarez are also 10-1. Alex Bregman is next up at 11-1 before we finally get to Freddie Freeman, the first Brave on the list, at 11-1. His teammate Eddie Rosario comes in at 14-1.
All right, we're back. The Athletics postseason live show got Sarris, the Athletics baseball writer and baseball analytics writer, and Nicky Lopez, Royals shortstop. I'm curious with both you guys, what will you be watching most? What most excites you about this matchup between the Astros and the Braves?
Jorge Soler. I was so pumped he had that double. I was at my brother's bachelor party and we were all going nuts for him. No, but I'm excited about just to see how it unfolds. The Houston Astros are so deep of a lineup. I'm excited about how the Braves will go about that. I'm excited about if Jock can keep it up, if Eddie Rosario can keep it up, that kind of stuff, and just exciting baseball. Defensively, Astros are a very good defensive team, but so are the Braves as well. So it's gonna be very interesting. And me, I like defense. So,
what about you? What stands out?
I think I take the Astros lineup. Just they make more contact. They're just a really powerful up and down the lineup. I think I take the Braves rotation. But that's where I think I would be really interested in, because I really think Jose Urquidy is good, and he had just that terrible outing. So does he come back like Luis Garcia, or is he going to be a non-factor? If he's a non-factor, that makes it harder for the Astros, because then you got to have Greinke come in and he's got to do better. So that Urquidy game is going to be a really big one for me. I'd assume that it's either 1-1 or 2-0 Astros. And then here comes Urquidy, or I don't know what the order is exactly, but that's going to be a linchpin game for them. And I have all the confidence in Urquidy, but that was such a bad start. So just watching that one. And then I guess it's not as quote unquote interesting. It's not as, top line, but like Minter, Matzek, and Smith have been awesome.
Nasty.
Yeah. And when I looked up, I'm writing about this a little bit right now, but when I looked up platoon splits, like when you throw 96 or 97, the platoon splits actually, they get real small. Like, it doesn't really matter that they're lefty. They throw 96. You know what I mean? Like, it matters a little bit more when they throw like 92, and maybe it's a little bit easier for a lefty to see the ball longer or something. I don't know, but for a righty to see the ball longer. But in this case, I think if those three pitch like most of their bullpen innings, then be fine. But if the Astros push them to put other guys in, that's when I think the difference in the bullpens and the difference in pitching staffs might come out. But it's going to be, I think the stars match up well. There's like this interesting like depth play that like, is Greinke going to be okay? Is like Greinke going to give them some good innings that matter? Is Urquidy going to pitch long enough? Who's going to step up in that Astros bullpen beyond Graveman and Presley? There's going to be someone that steps forward and is like a star, that gives you that moment.
An unsung hero. There's definitely be someone who like, comes up.
I don't know. Yimi Garcia, pitches 3 innings, and strikes out everybody, or Martin Maldonado, wins a game with a big homer, or Ehire Adrianza, gets that slap hit right at the right moment. So those things are fun too. And, those are really just impossible to predict. That's the real fun part about a World Series.
You talked about a little about splits. Yordan Alvarez is just raked against any pitcher that is on the mound.
Good.
Nicky, I mean, obviously different type hitter than you, and a different but you know that too. I guess just how impressive, is that guy and what he can do at the plate?
Very impressive, and he was a little bit scarier when I was playing second base because I knew that ball was coming flying at me. But no, he's a guy that, has a presence when he's in the box. Every pitch that's around the zone, you think it's going to be hit very hard, and it usually is. It's one of those things. It's like you can see that he's getting more and more confident too. And I think confidence is the biggest aspect of baseball. If you're confident, in the box, if you're confident on the mound, you can go through streaks that I feel like Eddie Rosario is doing the same thing right now. He's confident. You could tell in the box. He's just oozing with it, and his play is showing. So definitely a scary at bat, and you can tell, and he's obviously showing it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do on the big stage for sure.
He seems to be becoming like, he's always had that power. I feel like he's like getting even more disciplined. Like he's getting more disciplined, and like you're going to see that eye come out. And I think one year he may even strike out less than he walks. I think he might have some crazy ass MVP type season where, he just
he's young, isn't he?
Yeah.
20s for sure, I believe.
Yeah, the knees aren't in super great shape, but that's all right. He'll be one of those David Ortiz DHs that just mashes forever.
Nicky, when you are going good, does it feel, we always see the ball better, but I just how would you describe what that even feels like when that term is said?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's in baseball when you are feeling good, it's one of those things where whether it's a fastball, whether it's a changeup, whether it's a slider, you're looking for just a strike at that point, and you're putting a swing on it, and it feels like everything you're swinging at you're barreling it. Everything you're swinging at is good contact. This season when things were going good, I was obviously still sitting my fastball and hunting that fastball. But when I saw an off-speed pitch, I was swinging at it and putting my best swing at it. And it's one of those feelings that you can't really explain, but it's one of the best feelings of baseball for sure. Is when you're seeing the ball is literally a beach ball. So it's.
Do you think it's like it's more mental, where like you're anticipating what's coming and you just know what's coming, or it's more like mechanical, like your swing is perfect, or is it just both? I guess.
I think it's that. I think it's like you're so locked in that everything is flowing. Your low is perfect. You're getting down perfect. You can get
a hit on a surprise, even, right?
Exactly.
Like you can be wrong and get a hit.
Or a slider, you're down, you're ready, and you're activating to the ball. So it's like, oh, I'm going to sit fastball. I could sit breaking ball. I could sit changeup, and everything you're doing is in sync, and it makes baseball so much fun because a baseball can slap you in the face also. So when you're like that, it makes you love baseball.
When you are struggling, when it's cold, is there a lot of times when there's, I'm not trying to make it like, I'm not even asking about you specifically, but like, are there a lot of times when it's like an injury or like a thing that isn't feeling right, that is just not enough for you to sit, but it's just like, it's making you open up too early, or it's, something
absolutely.
going on?
Yeah. And that's the thing about baseball is that you can be going good for 2 weeks, and then you show up to the ballpark one day and you're like, wow, I can't even see the ball, or I feel totally off. And it's you can like wake up overnight and be like, wow, I'm off.
That's crazy.
And early on in the season, I know there's obviously with the cold weather, the elements, who's pitching, stuff like that. It can really be a game changer. But when you're going well during the season, when the weather's nice, everything feels great. It is definitely one of the best feelings, and as a baseball player.
Eddie's feeling it.
Yeah, and Eddie is definitely feeling it right now, and same with Jordan.
Yeah,
we'll go predictions real quick. I think you said it. You picked the Astros. I believe on the website we have our predictions. Why?
It's mostly that lineup. I'm betting on a lineup that makes a lot of contact, is powerful, is really deep, goes 1 through 8. And even the 9-hitter, even the catcher is going to be able to send one out every once in a while. So I see that lineup, and I think the pitching staffs, the Braves might have a little bit of an advantage there, but not as much as I see with that lineup in the Astros.
Nicky, do you agree with Eno? You with Eno?
So you're
going to go with Soler.
Obviously I'm going to go with Soler. I want to see him win. What did I say in the beginning? I said whoever's going to win the White Sox Astros series was going to get to the World Series, but the Braves took down the Dodgers, and the Dodgers were supposed to be in the World Series too. So why not keep that momentum going? So I think the Braves have it in them to do it again. And
Soler with the walk-off.
And then Soler with the walk-off. Yeah. I'm trying to cover my own butt too, so I'm not really this team do this. So I'm excited for good baseball. I'm a baseball fan. I want to see a good series. I would love to see it go 6 or 7, but I would love to see the Braves pull it off too. So it's gonna be fun.
I'm being told we've got some questions, random questions for Nicky at the end. So I guess we'll end with those if we've got them. Nicky, why do you golf right-handed?
I golf right-handed because I can't hit the ball left-handed. It's actually very, very funny. I putt.
And you putt left?
I putt lefty. So I putt.
Oh, that's
lefty.
messed up.
What do you write with?
I write with my right hand, but my left hand's my dominant. Obviously, pushing through. I don't know. I'm weird, but yeah, I golf righty because I don't know how to hit the ball off the tee lefty. So that's fun.
But I'm talking to pitchers, and I'm talking to a lefty, and I'm like trying to I can't even mimic delivering the ball left-handed. I have to just pretend I'm left-handed. I'm gonna do it right-handed.
Oh, we got one more. Got to know what Nicky's favorite beer / sandwich is. We'll like this.
/ sandwich. Okay. If I was to order any sandwich, it would be a combo from Portillo's with sweet and hot peppers on it. It's an Italian sausage with Italian beef on it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love it with sweet and hot peppers. Favorite beer would be Bud Light. Big Bud Light. Bud Light is watching this. Let me
hook me up with a K.
Unbelievably smart. Comment from Susan. Nicky was great this year on fantasy. All right, Eno will take to that.
The lost art of the stolen base, man.
I finally started running. I think the past 2 years I was like 0 for 5, 7. I don't even know, but I started running this year and I was successful.
Did you change something in your approach? More sciencing it up or something? I think it all just had to go back to confidence. Just once you steal that first bag, you're like, all right, I could do it. If
struggle at something, it's easy to be like, oh, just keep going. But it's one of those things. It's when you steal a base, if you get thrown out 2 times, you're like, I don't feel confident in going,
Like it might even be like you're not confident going, so then you sneak a peek at the catcher, and that that takes away that half second, and now you're out.
And then another big thing was we Rusty Kuntz is unbelievable, and just pinpoints things, tendencies that the pitcher has. Look at his back shoulder, look at his knee, look at his front foot, look at the way he breathes. I'm like, what? Like,
wow.
How do you even find that stuff? And it's
awesome.
It's insane. And Rusty definitely helped me out too.
That's great. Well, Nicky, thank you guys for hopping on. This has been a blast. For those watching, thank you for tuning in to the Athletics postseason live show. Enjoy the World Series Game 1 tomorrow night. That's Tuesday night. Thank you guys. Stay well and enjoy the World Series.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.